So we've got two cameras set up. This one's intended for close-up views, so you can set your models. And then the other camera is on you, so if you want to hold up something or talk to the crowd, just let us know when you want to switch back.
This is just a Nuance SD74, and as I was talking earlier with someone, you can see why one of the reasons they might be going out of business. The basic model is horrible. But at the same time, I bought a 3D printer, bought the wrong one, bought a filament. So I'm doing every other thing with the printer. But everything you see on it, I've 3D printed. I tried to get as close to exact the research I could get. I've learned now using airbrush. It's compressor and the actual, get a good airbrush and a good compressor. Wow, things you can do. Get a good soldering system. Wow, makes soldering easy. Or not easy, but just able. But like I said in this, I've learned to airbrush, solder, electrical, 3D print. And the lights all worked until this morning when I double checked. So I got to figure out where to short it. It's the second time I've come here with lights and they don't work. But all the lights work. And it's funny as I start getting better and I see why all of you guys use exotic woods and get better kits and upgrade it. When you get a cheap model, you realize how cheap it is. Like all these details are just stickers or decals. I'm like, as a grown man, I'm going to put just windows of, this is going to be my hobby. So it forced me to learn to use my printer. And eventually I think I'll have to go resin because I can't do the real super fine details. I think the doors and the boats and the barrels and it's fun because you learn to do everything to scale and size it. And some things you can't, like eventually my ode to Gene will have my 20mm cannons on it. And the right Carly life rafts will have the ropes and the oars and the things on it. I thought after I looked at one of your gorgeous models that won the show, I was going to try to do that on this just to learn how to do it. But it's been fun to learn. And as you get the tools, it becomes more fun. Like the model came warped and the plastic hull caved in. And so I spent months trying to fix it. And after literally 2.5 months, probably 30, 40 hours, tubes of putty, the other plastic stuff you make and harden. I just said, wait, I have a 3D printer. So I measured it with the calipers now, which you learn how to use a lot, model building. Probably the most used tool. And just did sheets, the exact thickness, glued it in, it was fixed in 15 minutes and little feathering done. I wasted 40 to 50 hours of F-bombs and I'm going to throw it out the window to, it's acceptable, but that's it. It's just, and the RC works. And I even custom built the whole engine compartment, or whatever you want to control it, servo, motor mounts, everything is all custom built with the 3D printer. So if it ever goes in the water and gets wet, I don't have to worry about it. That's it.
Nice. What did you use for your CAD to get the STL files for printing?
It's just in the Bamboo. I have the 3D printer from Morons, the Bamboo Lab Systems. It's kind of like Apple was 30 years ago for everyone's software caught up with them. It's just point and click and drag and size. And getting to the point once I can transfer logos, I'm going to have to learn the software to take it to the next step. Because,
but I mean, you printed your portholes, your patches.
Yeah, those you just download. There's certain companies you can go to online and download them.
Oh, okay.
Or some of these I created from the ground up, like the ballards and the rope ties. They have objects you can merge and shape and size. Yeah, it's the slicer. Every company has a slicer. And they're like dumbed down CAD programs. Like my engineers work for me. They use the real CADs.
Yeah.
Someday I'm gonna have to learn that to get better at it to make parts for the models. So that's been fun. That's what took me so long as I'm learning. And the funny part was my pride and joy was I did the life rafts because I've seen it on your guys' model. So I was going to do it on this one. I mean, it was my first thing I was so proud of. I merged it, sized it, caulked it, painted it. I was like, oh, wow, I can show this to you guys, right? So proud. And then it's like, do research. And so finally one night I couldn't sleep, but I'm like, I did the life raft for a submarine. It's not the Carly. It's not what I think. It's the Carly life raft that all the ships had in World War II. So that was my third and fourth attempt, and that will have the ropes on it. research that. But
You know, it was in the same port. There was one laying around. They needed one. They scarfed it up. Me too.
yeah, I was going to eventually I'm going to put a keg on here just for a joke. See if anyone notices that there's a keg sitting on a pallet. But it's like I said, there's limits to resin printing, and I know a lot of you guys don't believe in it, but it helps someone like me to pimp it out, especially. Like all the crates and barrels, everything is to the right size. And of course, as I'm learning, I won't talk too much so you guys can show, but your skills get better and your ideas, of course, balloon. I can do this like everyone else can do it. Learning how to paint the airbrush is huge, but I decided to go electric afterwards. And so someone said, I did a class, go through the plans. I think the first meeting like a year and a half ago was go through your plans. They don't always make sense. Do it out, plan everything out, get your parts. You might do step 75, number 1. And so I've scratched it more times, broken parts off. All the door handles on the doors are broken off because I decided, I had lights. That can't be hard. And so, and I still can't keep the paint on my metal railings. They keep chipping and falling off. So I haven't gone to the rattle cans like some of the guys recommended. But so I've learned, all right, plan your model, stick to it.
Were your railings brass?
Yeah.
There's a couple companies make a brass primer that you just coat it with that. It just comes in like a brush inside the applicator bottle.
Oh, really? Okay.
You just run along that, let it dry, and then you can paint over it. It takes me a lot more durably.
It's etcher, isn't it?
Yeah.
Etcher? Thank you. That's
Yeah,
etcher.
this makes one.
Etchery?
Makes metalizer.
Which is the other one?
Gunzi Sanyo, it's a Japanese company. It's called Mr. Metalizer.
Mr. Metalizer, because I use Mr. Surfacer with the
Yeah,
level.
Surfacer is a great primer.
Oh my God, it actually fills in the holes.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
500 and stuff.
Regular paint doesn't do that, I found out.
Beats those testers bottles.
Yeah, that doesn't fill in.
doesn't
Yeah.
it?
That doesn't fill in for my screw ups. This is gotta put another coat on. You can't see that scratch.
Put it on thicker.
Yeah, but that way it doesn't work. So that's it.
Excellent. Very nice.
Looks good. Sure. Had a big story.
Nicely done.
Back like
All right. But you can read it backwards. So just starting out, first wooden model. This is like the first wooden model that a lot of people try, and I got it at discount at Model Expo. I actually have already bought the second 2, gave them to my wife so she can give them to me for Father's Day. So I can do the second and third, so I get this one. And everything's going fine. I think I'm just learning. So I already learned that when you glue something together, it's not permanent. You can unglue it. I've already had to do that once or twice. Just trying to make sure things that are perpendicular are staying perpendicular. And there's errors in it. There's some mistakes, but learning to fix those and go forward, I think, is part of the process. So I'm fine with that. And what I've really found is knowing that I'm going to come here to another meeting and do a show and tell means I have to have progress.
Yeah.
And I found that's actually motivating. So next show and tell, I hope to show some progress.
David, are you a member of Model Ship World online forum?
I go to it. I don't know.
There's a lot of bills of
I
this
have. I've
particular
seen
model
that.
up there. So
For a lot. No, there's I started a build log on models, but I just, I'm still working full time. So I gotta just getting a rhythm of getting some work done, and
but you're starting off right.
So I'm just trying to start off with something simple, learn the basics, and then we can grow from there.
I will hopefully perhaps keep you from making the same mistake I did, as you're beveling those planks. That was also my first wooden one. And I was so proud of that thing until I looked from the stern and I realized that although my overlap was uniform, my planks weren't. And I ended up with one side slightly offset from the other at the stern. And because I did not mark where to place the top of the plank, so it was even across that back on each side. I did each individually,
Awesome.
and I got an offset there. It's not much, but if you look at it, you go, oh yeah, this was your first, wasn't it?
Well, timely advice, because I can mark that second plank before I come in and make sure they're perpendicular to the center.
That's where I drifted off. It's very, very subtle.
Great. Thanks.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
I do intend to paint it to hide the errors later on, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I've always threatened to make a hull that had more wood in it than filler, and I finally started to do that now and then.
I think that's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good job.
Excellent.
All right, let's go online now. Anyone online have anything to show? Kevin?
I'll be posting my video of the update of the thorn this afternoon, so I'll leave it for those of you who wish to see it.
Thank you.
Been watching this video.
Super. Anyone else? Don't know who else. We got Stuart, John Core, Bill, John Jones. Anyone with anything to show? Bill, you got anything to show? Harrison? No.
No, I don't. I have a quick question. If it wouldn't take more than half a minute, if I could ask it though. And
Yes.
it's about the Mariners Museum. I was there with Dave Godano in October, and I thought I was walking through the actual turret with a cutout, which I was kind of surprised they had a cutout in the monitor turret. But sure thought I was in there, and then now I see in your newsletter that the thing is still being turned over in the tank. So what was it that I saw that I thought was the turret? Does anybody know?
It was just a red reproduction of the original turret. Fiberglass reproduction.
What was that?
It's a full-size fiberglass reproduction in the position that they found it at the bottom of the ocean. So it's upside.
Thank you very much, because I thought we were in the real thing.
A lot of people do.
Come back.
It's a good reproduction.
Yeah. Thanks.
There are excellent painters out there.
Kaylin, you want to go next? Sure.
Sure, this one you want. Great. Two at a time. Only two.
I had glued the gun tubs for the PT boat and then added their whatever called rings. And I finished the console for the deck house and glued it into place. Right now I'm working on the 50 caliber brass guns and also working on a wooden 20 millimeter Oerlikon. I was being kind of lazy because I didn't want to work with the brass parts. So I just decided to make, I decided to make it out of wood. And hopefully that'll be my next go, and then hopefully I can prime it and then just add all the other details.
It's looking good, Kaylin.
Two questions. I think you told us what scale it was, but I don't recall.
I think it's either Kevin, you said it was like 1/20th, 1/24th.
I think it's a 1/20 scale somewhere.
Well, I think according to Doomhouse, I think it's like a 1/20th scale according to the Foxclass product.
Well, I just bought that. I think it's 1/30th, the one I have, but I don't think mine's that big.
Does it come with the 50s?
It does. It does come with the 50s, but Gene had given me solid die cast brass tubings, which I'm using those with epoxy. it did not go well with the epoxy, and I don't know why. You've seen it before, John. I was with you at the taco stand by then. It was not like sticking well. I don't know why.
I don't remember. We'll work on that.
Yeah, if you look at those guys. Some of the best in the world.
And this is my next model after the PT boat, Gator class submarine. Haven't decided which one it is yet. Also fiberglass, as you can see. This time it's from the Scale Shipyard, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. I haven't decided which one I should name it yet. Either the Grenion or the Flyer. But so we're not at the park.
Gonna put a motor and dealer of radio control.
They're both gonna be static model. Both of these are built specifically for RC, but I'm just building them as static models.
Excellent.
So,
Good.
You can just put at the table.
that would probably be
Yeah.
good.
Looks like me dropping parts on break.
Oh,
I worked for a table, so I didn't give up my office. So I.
Can you make it bigger, John?
Coming. I don't do my models.
That's right here.
Right here's stuff.
It's just.
Some sort of print.
You'll have rasp it up.
Good. I don't like change of that is, but I say. Leave my.
While he's sharing it, I would like to ask you guys, when you present, if you would email me a photograph of your work, I can work it into the logbook. That would be great. I'm not the best at getting around to taking photographs of everything. So send me one or several, and I'll choose. And maybe an example or two from your presentation. So I could work something into the logbook. Or I'll make it up, and you might not like it.
Oh, you're AI.
Like I do with Gene.
Like you do with AI.
Yeah, I'll just like, write me 500 words on what John talked about.
Where's my AI photo that Tim was doing? I've been wanting to see that for months.
Yeah, it's not fit for publication yet. I think he's got an example. I don't think he's had time to work on it.
Yes.
Probably can, but I don't understand why I won't let us share. Yeah.
Go back in. Just can't do anything else. Lost my.
Can you try a window?
Transmission so.
Believe it or not, this is in the same scale that Gene works in. It just happens to be little.
You could make it bigger.
Yeah, but then it's not in the scale that you work in.
Then I'll match you.
You match it. You would.
Might as well just start with hard base.
Scrap that whole thing right there and start over.
I'm waiting for the one where you can actually sit in it and motor.
When I see here.
Right.
Okay.
Is it working now?
Yeah.
Will it advance? Right. I don't see any.
Wow.
That's yours, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. So back up then. All right. Yesterday, as you guys know, was hot as blazes. I think the thermometer hit 100 degrees. And that was the day we chose to, we didn't choose it, but that was the day they chose to replace the water line that goes into the house. And so I bring that up because not only was it hot, we were without water for a little while, but it just turned into a rough day. Because later on that day, I sat down, I was going to put a little PowerPoint presentation of what I'm going to talk about together. And a transformer blew, and then we didn't have power for a couple of hours. So,
And worse yet, you didn't have AC.
and didn't have AC, but I did have a wife that was complaining about it.
It's amazing how that complaining helps you.
It's being recorded.
I know. She does. So we sat in the car with the air conditioner on.
Good quality.
Anyway, what I wanted to talk about is, if you go to the next slide, is continuing progress on the revenue cutter that is yet to be named. And last time we talked a little bit about bits and the towing bit, a few other little pieces. Today I'm going to talk about, next slide, the gun. The revenue cutter carried one gun, and it was a 3-inch pull gun, and it was named a pull gun because it was designed and built by a Pool engineering company. And this is an actual copy of one of their drawings. You can see that they have title block. And there's a few dimensions on here that are very hard to read, but you can sort of decipher it and whatnot. And so this was an excellent plan to follow. But in order to build the gun, I wanted it reduced. Let's go to the next slide now. The first thing I did was I reduced the plan to the size of the gun that I'm making. And of course, you see it here on the table. It allowed me to play with some of the toys we have in ways that I haven't done before. In order to make the barrel started out, because it has a square breech at the breech end. Well, it's not really square, it's a rectangle. But it started out as a piece of 1/4-inch square bar stock. The first thing I did was I marked the centers on both ends, center drilled both ends, knowing that I wanted to turn between centers because the square breech back here, at this end here. And but to make the breech first, I put it in the mill, Dad's old mill, and I milled to the dimensions that matched the plan that I had reduced to the correct size. Okay, so then after that was done, I was able to mount it in the lathe using the faceplate and the lathe dog to turn the rest of the barrel to the dimensions that match the plan. Our next picture or whatever it is.
God.
Yeah, because you've got to. Okay, so here is the barrel now laying on the copy of the plan, and you see all these very delicate dimensions and various things that I've measured. But the barrel's there, and at this point, I've also made the recoil cylinder and the sleeve that it travels in, and they're laying. That'll make you dizzy. At this point, nothing's been put together. It's just laying there for the photograph. And advancing along a little bit, now we have turned the base out of brass on the lathe, and I've made the yoke for that the barrel would sit in, and it's all just sitting there for a shot of progress at that point. That was 2 weeks ago. The next thing that I had to make was the start of the elevating gear so that you could elevate the barrel. And that turned into an interesting project. To the next slide, please. I couldn't find a gear to use that satisfied myself. I went to what I have. I have various kinds. Most of the gears that you can find and buy, they're either watchmakers gears, and they're too thin, they're not thick enough, or they have teeth that in scale would be like a 3-inch tooth on the mechanism. Closest thing that I could find that I could use as raw material was the piece at the top, which is a lamp knob. Okay, and it's brass. And I bought one, and the first thing I did was I turned the face. I got rid of that extra material on the end, taking it down to the knurl that they've got on the knob. Then I milled a little bit of it. Then I took and cut off the end. You can see where I cut off the end. It's another piece laid over there on the right. And I'm using that as a mandrel to hold the gear. Once I parted it off on the backside, I put it back in the next slide. I used it as a mandrel so that I could thin out the backside of the gear. Okay. Then I cut off a hunk of it. Back up as well.
I got all the gear cutting attachment for my dad if you want to start from scratch.
I'll get there. So then I cut off a hunk of it. This is what's left. The rest of it became the training mechanism, the training gear for the bottom of the barrel. Next one. Okay. That was a pain in the butt. I said, well, there's got to be another way that I can get something that I think is a satisfactory gear. I got to thinking about it, and I said, well, wait a minute. I've got a knurling tool. I looked at my knurling tool, and it's got the two hexagonal wheels, which would give me not the shape that I wanted. But you can buy a single knurl tool that has one wheel on it with a straight cut. And if you apply it to brass, you can get fairly decent scale gears. And then you would just center drill for a shaft, and then just part off however much you want. You can get the gears the thickness you want with a reasonable looking tooth to it. So that was a fun thing. I've got these pieces and the knurling tool over here, and an original knob if you guys want to look at it later. Next slide. There's the knurl tool. Next slide. And at this point, the piece has been fixed to the bottom of the barrel. Some soldering has gone on, and we're working on the yoke, whatnot. Next slide. Now, the elevation wheel.
Yeah, you can 3D print that.
Huh? Yeah,
You did it on brass.
if I can make it in brass, you can 3D
Jesus.
print it. This has a cross section of 1/4 inch. So it would be a 12-inch wheel. The real one on the conveyor is probably more like an 8 or a 9-inch wheel, but once again, limits to what I can see and do. So I made a hub. I made the outer ring, soldered the outer ring, and then I made a little jig over here. You can see the lines. The hub went in the hole. I taped down spokes, soldered it together. Then I trimmed the spokes to the size I wanted. Fit the outer wheel over top of the whole thing. Put a little bit of weight on it to hold it, soldered the whole mess back together again. So I had the wheel. And then, well, back up just a second. There you can see the wheel laying there before I cleaned up a lot of the extra solder. And now I'll go to the next one. And then now it has a piece added to it, which will simulate the helical gear for the mechanism, and I'll do the rest of that stuff and put it down. This is where the gun sits today. That's what it looks like right there.
Amazing. John, how did is it just files or is there by hand the sanding of the
It's,
brass or
oh no, I use lathe tools.
there's what?
Lathe tools to turn all the stuff that has to be turned.
No, talk about
The
your
other
wheel.
stuff is.
Getting the solder off the
is-
How do you get the solder off your
Oh, I've
wheel?
used a dull active knife, like,
Exactly, like it takes solder off.
yeah, just very carefully. cut.
it'll pull the solder with
It's real soft.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's very
you
small,
break the
too.
joint.
I've been sanding it. Jesus,
No, it's just like that. And,
never thought of it.
where am I?
Thank you. Sorry to bother you.
So that's kind of where I am. This is how big it is. I wanted it to look good, and I think I'm paying good homage to the
That's
customer.
nice.
That's gorgeous.
And that's, there it is sitting on the boat. I did, one more thing. The shield right here that protects the gunner, that started out as a piece of brass tubing. I cut it to however much I needed out of the tube. And then I just carefully bent the angles I needed into it. And and then that part's actually glued on.
Yeah, quick question for you all. Painting the window ports black, or is that hand painted, or how do you get it smooth? I tried mine.
Well, the ports aren't there yet. Those are just raw holes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All the ports, believe it or not, are in that photo tube right there.
Okay.
So
So
those will get fitted in the holes.
so the pieces of plastic or
They're brass, and then I've got the plastic lenses.
because I've been trying to print them, I can't get it to be worth a day. Okay.
Really? I had some printed for the beach, the lighthouse standard. And because they were a different size than what I had, I just gave a dimension sketch to Warren, one of Warren's buddies. And he had them back to me in about a week.
Poly resin or?
I don't know which one. I don't know which way he did.
Yeah, because I'm seeing the lines because that's a film.
Yeah.
I can get the square ones to look okay, but not the.
This guy did a great job.
10mm nozzle.
My dimension sketch. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you.
That's excellent.
All right.
And thank you for that knurling tool idea.
Yeah.
I used to do wash restoration. I was sitting there looking at something like that going, oh, I'm gonna have to make a gear. And then I said, when I saw your knurl, as soon as I saw it, I went, oh, man, do I feel dumb for not having thought of
Only
that.
caution I will tell you, Mr. Burlington, don't use it on the small lathes, like a Sherlock or Unimat. The bearings on it are not robust enough to take the pressure. So I've got a bigger lathe.
If you do a lot of that, have you ever used scissors knurls rather
I've used
than the
it.
straight type?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
that
takes a lot
lets
of
you.
pressure. The
Yeah,
scissors type is a lot better because the
Yeah.
pressure's not on the bearing.
it's not on the bearings, you're not flexing the work. Yeah,
You can see the flex. The smaller diameters,
oh,
the
yeah,
more flex you get. Yeah.
oh, yeah.
And these guys
Think
show
about
up,
making
we
a
have to
balance
learn.
there for a while. Yeah, it flexes.
Sean's latest.
What's that?
Sean's good. His latest.
Yeah, just let me know, bring it. Just sitting on the shelf.
So last,
Wait. Share, yeah.
perfectly fits in as well.
So last month I ended my pictures with showing starting the construction of the gun port lids on my Winchelsea. This photo is a carryover from that. These are the essentially the parts that make up the gun ports. So down below, handmade some brass hinges And I've been spending the last month making lots of little eyelets and rings for all the gun ports, and then a finished gun port in the pictures too. Next slide. Now this is showing the 4 aft gun ports on the model installed. So I have both the lifting gear on the upper part of the cover, and then the locking rings on the bottom for when the covers are in place. Slide showing an aerial view with the hinges all in place. And just another view of that along shop. Next one. This one is showing with the ports in place and a cannon sticking out of one of them to show representation. And the next one's just a closer view of that. And here's the bow. So month before last, I showed putting the hair and breast brackets in place. This month, I worked on the bridle port in the front, and I'll point out that you can see that there's a curvature in the bridle port to match the curvature of the hull, so it sits flush and looks seamless when it's in closed position. And then I added the freeze work on all of the hair and breast brackets there. Also added a trim piece in front of the figurehead. And that's as far as I got this month. I will show, I did finish up all of the trunnels above the whales all along on the port side. I still have the starboard side to do, which will hopefully be next month.
John, usually pictures show all your mistakes,
Yeah.
but I don't see any.
Photo editor.
Photoshop, you mean?
Yeah.
I think mine's photo editor. So here's kind of the port side where it is situated today. I think I have one more with the lids.
Beautiful model.
Gorgeous.
So to the points that you mentioned on model, the website being back up, I now have a build log that I've added. I got a number of comments to do a log, so I've decided now to do it. So I have started that.
Great.
That's my.
Well done.
Nice.
Nice piece of artwork.
Did you blacken the brass with jacks or something else?
I think what I have is what Blue Jacket bluing is what I blackened it with.
Cool. Thank you.
Got my disc up there.
I sure did.
Here you go. This is back.
Yes.
That's the first picture anyways. All righty, continuing on my progress of the Reluctant. This is where we left off last month. Had the hull pretty much finished up. Some of the smaller details starting to add on to it. You can go to the next. And to the right was a superstructure added to the hull erroneously, according to Mr. Jeevers. So I had no choice but to rectify the situation. There were no plans on it. I went by pictures. Thank you, John. You put me some data. Anyways, next picture. I had to amend it. So what I did was I chiseled it off, as you can see, because that hull superstructure was much too large, according to the later pictures that were granted to me. Yes. Anyways, the process pretty simple. I chiseled it off, cleaned up the space, filled the hole up with some styrene. Next, puttied it up and sanded and primed it. Yeah, go ahead. Next.
What kind of putty is that?
Oh, it's automotive stuff. It's but it's a glazing putty.
It's not the red stuff.
It is the red stuff.
Bondo
Back up,
908.
Look like it.
back up one picture. It's I just slathered it on to fill in some of the gaps. seams.
Yes, it does.
So anyways, after priming and sanding and painting, finish it up, I was able to then finesse it into the more scale-like structure that was evident in the pictures. This was a structure that was added to the 40mm platform that originally was on the boat. I have no idea what the structure was for. Storage or crew spaces, who knows? Pictures don't tell me what the reason was. But anyways, just a couple of angles of the cut down version, and it more represents what the picture of the actual boat. All right, moving on, added some more details here on the forecastle, some of the what is that? The anchor hawse pipes. Hawse pipes, yeah. Next. And moving on to start filling in a lot of the details, I moved my attention to the cargo holds. And after etching a lot of parts, next, I then created a lot of the chalks and things that went around the perimeter of the deck, the cargo hold. Cut the slats out of plywood and added the tarp using silk span material. Just took a cut of it, crinkled it up, sewed up a couple of panels so you can see some of the seams there, and then painted it. Turned out pretty well, and added the strap downs on top of it. Here's another picture of the some of the weathered wood. And what I use for weathering is this stuff called Weather It. You just slather it on the wood, and it darkens it. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It's probably a thinned paint, thinned ink or something. I have no idea, but it works really well on wood that's not been covered or treated immediately. It soaks in, gives you a nice weathered, aged look to it. Right? Yes, the reason for the whole boat. And this one kicked it off. I bought this palm tree at Cabin Fever last January. Had to build a boat around it. I then planted it, you can zoom in, I planted it in a bucket. And from the movie, it had his name, captain's property. I made a decal, applied it to just a small piece of tubing. That's his palm tree. Then also at Cabin Fever, I acquired an actual Polaris and used the photograph of the compass rose. I took and made a decal of that, reduced it, applied it to a couple of these Polarises. These were originally 3D printed units where I cut the tops off to represent the cover so that they would be exposed. And I still have the targeting with device to install, which I'm etching now. And then minor details such as the boss lids for the stack. And here, moving on to the masts and the crane, which were all constructed in brass. I had to etch a lot of little clevises and brackets and things like that, all be etched onto the brass. But both of those structures are 100% brass, soldered. There's a few of the sheets that I used to get the parts from. And I use in this case, a resistance solder. And it's really about the only way you can use something this large. For small pieces of brass, you can probably get away with a small soldering iron, 25, 30 watt fine tip on it. But when you start getting into larger materials, you have to use more heat, a larger iron, but then that represents a problem. It presents a problem of having the ability to put
lot of heat in a small space. Whereas a resistance solder solves all those problems. You can apply a whole lot of heat very quickly, and reduces the amount of heat propagation through the metal to delaminate materials that you previously had soldered. In this case, I had a back up there was I had a base. It's grounded to the soldering iron, and you can just clip your material into it, or as you can see on the other end, there's an alligator clip you can also do. I found that the base worked fairly well, but the connection was lost sometimes. So it was just easier just to put the alligator clip on one end. But if you have a smaller piece, obviously the alligator clip probably be too cumbersome. And here's just the progressive photos of some of the brass crevices and bits and pieces put on. You through that. The ladder, everything was photo etched, assembled, and then soldered on to the brass tube. I keep saying that the secret to a nice, clean soldering job is not necessarily the soldering itself. It's the cleanup work afterwards. In this case, there would be stains all over the place, and I use a wire brush and a Dremel and just very gently clean up a lot of the loose ends, kind of spread out. But you can see with a standard soldering iron, it would be very difficult to try and solder a little bit like that without affecting the part next to it. But if you get that resistance soldering element in there hot enough, it'll heat that area. It's a very small area very quickly. And in fact, you can almost watch the heat propagation through the next soldered piece by watching the coloration of the solder change. And you can yank it away before it gets to the part. And here it is primed after all the parts were put on. And, yeah, go ahead. So, really need a solder. You need a soldering iron. You're going to do a lot of small pieces like this. These are all the ladder rungs that we're going to run up the mast, and each one had to be soldered individually. And the process was basically just tinting the brass where the rung would be, pre-tinting it with solder. Again, pre-tinting also the rung itself. So it's just a matter of holding it in position, touching the resistance solder next to it. It takes less than a second, and the solder will melt together, and then you can just pull the soldering iron away before the heat affected the next part, and just work your way on down. Now the plans for the mast, I really had to draw myself based upon photographs. The basic form was taken from the plans, the height, and the general layout, but each boat had a different arrangement. So I used the photographs of Hewlett to redraw the plans according to what I saw, and devise my parts from there. And that's the completed mast before priming and painting. And then moving on to the railings, using the same process. These are all individual tubing. I use Albion tubing, very thin wall tubing. And I'll drill holes through the sides of the railing itself, feed it through, form it, solder it. Ladders, everything's all brass. Now we're getting on to the palm tree deck.
Of course.
The windbreak what I used there before sewing it on was just masking tape. Took a couple of pieces of masking tape, attached a couple of them to form the seam. And I like using that because it gives a little bit of a texture to the material. It makes it look like canvas. That's all it is masking tape. And then carefully sewn to the railing. All right. Moving on to the captain. I had a couple of these figures left over, 1/4 inch, 3D printed. And the captain pose that I wanted to depict from the movie, he was kind of stooped over a water can. So I took this fella and cut him apart, cut him at the waist, his arms, and then re-glued it back together to form the fella on the left, kind of half stooped over. He was dressed in his morning robe. So using, again, I used the silk span material. I just cut it into pieces and just kind of formed it around him in the form of kind of like a robe. And used inset CA, kind of fix it. Took a piece of masking tape and wrapped it around it for a robe, for the tie, robe tie. And then painted him up. Here's a picture of the back of him. And then, of course, the money shot. This is a comparative picture of the model and a screenshot from the movie I wanted to depict.
It looks like James Gedges.
You're missing Brian.
Yeah, I'm missing the brackets.
And a leaf.
Okay, there.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't gotten to that yet. Yeah, there are 1,001 pieces yet to be made. Yeah, in fact, I've got the. That's what I'm doing right now is the drawing of the artwork for all the for the crane, the crane holds and things of that sort. One piece at a time. Now that John has run out of amendments. So anyways, that pretty much brings it up to today. I'll just keep on with the little pieces on it. We'll get to the bridge eventually. I'm probably saving that for last. That's going to be the most tedious, I think, to construct. So that's it.
Well done. That's good.
Amazing, amazing team.
Oh, you're done.
The critics corner.
Yeah, so there aren't a lot of challenges to being skipper, but the biggest one is having to present after John Shaw.
Here's control of that.
Yeah, might have to do something about that. I brought two things. One is the update on the 1/16 scale scratch whaleboat. And the progress since last time is mostly on the longitudinal stuff, the thwarts and some of the other things. The thing at the front is a lion's tongue. I actually don't know what all those were because I was counting on John. I thought his gunnery thing would be really complete and include harpoons. No harpoonery section. So I'm going to have to look next time to figure out what all these things actually did. And I'm actually on a little bit of a pause because I have to figure out how to do the next step. There's these braces that go between the thwarts and the sidewall, and it's got a curved surface. And then there's a laminated set of boards that follow the curve and then go out along the thwart. And the real boats have it. Most of the models I've seen just cut a single piece to that shape. It will be an incredible detail. If I can do it right, it will look terrible if I can't. So I'm trying to figure that out. I can't clamp it in place here, so I have to figure out how to build them off the model. And hopefully I'll have that solved for next time and be moving forward again. And the other thing that I brought in the log, I wrote about Grant Walker, who just passed away. And I said I would bring some of his books. And I brought 3 of them. They're truly incredible. People have not been to the Rogers collection at the Naval Academy Museum. Absolutely do it. They are, I mean, people here do incredible craftsmanship. These whole models take it to an art form where they're actually spectacularly beautiful, and they have lasted for 300 plus years. And the answer, can you build a model without a burn table saw? These were all done with hand tools. To me, they're absolutely spectacular. Grant Walker was the curator of that museum, and it's a large part of why they're restored so well. And in his books, he's both done amazing photography and also all sorts of great information about the models, how they were built, their history, figuring out what ship they're actually models of. They're worth looking at. Thanks, everyone. Next month, Kevin is presenting on making rope.
I want to do a quick preview of what I'm going to be showing next month. And where it kind of started a little bit is with Sean's model of the Winchelsea. The first thing he wants to rig is the gun port lids on it. So we can kind of just go ahead and sit down here and get the camera to show on it at all. Unfortunately, Chuck Pissarro is no longer making scale rope. It was becoming too tedious for him to make all of that stuff and sell it. So buying commercially made scale rope is really difficult. So I did a presentation on this last year, and Sean has gotten with me about some of the tips and tricks on how to make your own rope, thread, and things like that. So I've decided next month the presentation is going to be on making scale rope. I know I did it last year, and there was some pretty good response on it. Just to give Sean some tips and tricks on it. I'll be doing that presentation again.
All about me.
But hey, like I said, it's again, you can't buy this stuff commercially. The only way to get this stuff in a lot of the sizes you need is to make it yourself. And I was looking online, even the thread that I use to make this stuff, the price of the thread itself is still really fairly cheap. It's the shipping that kills you. Sean said I have a 10,000 meter spool of this stuff. The price of the spool is like $17. To ship it from Canada to here is 3 times that. So, but now that 10,000 meter spool will last me a lifetime. So, but this is just again a preview of what we're going to see next month for our presentation.
A great month, everyone, and much there.
Good meeting, folks.
Yeah.
Thanks again. As always, appreciate y'all coming.
Thanks again. Yeah. I guess this concludes the week. I know what you want. All right, guys.
I have.
See you next time.
Yes.
How do you get to the guts? Does it pop?
Yeah, it comes apart. And I made it too tight and broke pieces off the first time I tried to do it. I was like, oh, I gotta make it watertight. Yeah.
I see. Okay, there you go.
And take all that stuff. This has been custom built.
Right.